Let's jump right into this explainer. We're heading straight to the heart of Vrindavan, India, to look at a place that completely throws logic out the window and challenges everything we think we know about the natural world. It's a dense, green patch of land called Nidhivan, the forest of treasures. But, we're not talking about buried gold here. We're talking about an ancient, electrifying mystery that literally draws thousands of thrill seekers and spiritual travelers to its gates every single year.
So here is the big question that really hooks you. What actually goes down in Nidhivan after the sun sets? Because right at dusk, there's this massive shift. The heavy iron gates of the forest slam shut, and absolutely every single human has to leave. And it's not just that. The monkeys scatter in a panic, the birds fly off, the peacocks completely vanish. It is a total, absolute lockdown. So why the extreme rules? Why is this place strictly off limits to any living soul at night?
Okay, let's dive into this because the local warnings are, frankly, chilling. Telling people not to stay after dark isn't just some polite suggestion. It's a rule enforced by pure terror. Locals swear that any mortal who stays behind is going to face catastrophic consequences. There's this famous, widely shared story about an overly ambitious photographer who actually tried to debunk the whole thing. He hid deep in the twisted roots with his camera gear. While the next morning, guards found him unconscious near the gates, his camera completely shattered. When he finally woke up, he couldn't speak, and his sanity was just gone. So yeah, the fear here is very, very real.
Section 1. The Eternal Nightly Days.
To really grasp why this lockdown is so terrifying, we have to look at the theology literally baked into the soil here. According to deep-rooted Hindu scripture, Nidhivan is the sacred site of the Raas Leela. The story goes that thousands of years ago, Lord Krishna would play his flute, and the sound was so intoxicating that the gopis, the milkmaids, would drop whatever they were doing, run into the forest, and dance with him. It's this divine, ecstatic dance of pure devotion. But the wild part? Devotees believe this performance never actually stopped. They believe it's still happening in secret, every single night, right in the middle of Nidhivan.
And this isn't just some abstract myth either. It's tied to historical figures, most notably the 15th century saint and classical musician Swami Haridas. His pure musical devotion in this exact forest supposedly caused Lord Krishna and Radha to physically manifest right in front of him, merging into the famous black stone idol known as Banke Bihari. Swami Haridas's legacy really anchors Nidhivan not just as a mystical forest, but as an active, breathing epicenter of divine energy.
Section 2. Secrets of the Rang Mahal.
Right at the center of all this is the Rang Mahal chamber. Every evening, just before the sun goes down, the head priests do this incredibly meticulous preparation inside the small, unassuming temple. And this really shows you the sheer dedication involved. They're not just, tidying up. They make a beautiful, fresh sandalwood bed for Lord Krishna and Radha. They leave a silver glass completely full of water, fresh sweets, freshly made pan, and neem twigs for brushing teeth. They even lay out a fresh sari and bright glass bangles. After all that, they walk out, slap a heavy lock on the doors from the outside, and clear the entire forest.
But here is where things get genuinely baffling. The next morning, when they unlock those exact same heavy doors, the room is completely transformed. The bed sheets are crushed, showing clear indentations like someone actually slept there. That silver glass of water, half empty. The neem twigs look used, the sweets are half eaten, and the pan has clearly been chewed. And remember, this room was heavily locked from the outside. No secret tunnels, no hidden trapdoors. Yet every single day, without fail, the items are consumed.
Section 3. The Twisted Tulsi Trees. Now, what's really interesting is that stepping outside the Rang Mahal, the forest itself presents these massive physical anomalies. We're talking about tulsi or basil trees, but their bark is entirely hollow, and they're growing on remarkably dry land. Despite that, they stay lush and green all year round. And you won't see branches reaching up to the sky. Instead, they twist, they knot, and they mysteriously grow intertwined in pairs, with their branches bending completely downward toward the earth. Oh, and incredibly, even though it's a dense green canopy, there are absolutely no bird nests or insects anywhere in these trees. For the millions of people who visit, these aren't just weird-looking plants. Spiritual belief says these thousands of intertwined tulsi trees are actually the gopis themselves in disguise. The idea is that every single evening when the sun sets, these twisted wooden trunks magically transform back into beautiful milkmaids to dance with Krishna. Then, right as dawn approaches, they freeze back into the shape of twisted trees, bending down in eternal reverence.
And the local wildlife, they seem to completely respect this transformation. It's not just human guards clearing people out. If you're there late in the afternoon, you will literally watch the monkeys, the birds, and the peacocks frantically fleeing the forest right around 5 p.m. No one is actually chasing them out. Their natural instincts just kick in, telling them they need to vacate the premises before dusk.
That instinctual fear definitely extends to the people living nearby, too. The terror of what happens at night is so absolute, it has literally altered the architecture of the surrounding town. Walk around the edge of Nidhivan, and you'll notice that houses sharing a boundary wall with the forest have their windows permanently sealed with solid bricks. If they aren't bricked up, they are tightly bolted shut before dusk. Nobody dares to look out their window after dark, terrified they might see the blinding light of the gods and lose their sight or their sanity.
Section 4. Science versus sacred faith.
Naturally, in the modern age, a place like this sparks a huge debate. Let's look at how this plays out. On one hand, scientists and skeptics argue that the twisted trees are just the botanical adaptation, plants bending down for moisture because they're competing for resources in a dense environment. They point to geopathic stress or magnetic anomalies in the ground that might make animals physically uncomfortable enough to leave. The missing water? Evaporation. The half-eaten sweets? Probably some very clever monkeys. But the believers counter that effortlessly. If monkeys eat the sweets, how on earth are they perfectly chewing the pon and leaving the rest of the locked room totally undisturbed? If the trees are just a botanical quirk, why doesn't this happen in any other dense forest in the whole district? And of course, they point to this unbroken 500-year tradition guarded by priests who have never once broken their silence. It really all boils down to this fantastic local quote that just hits the nail on the head. If it is all fake, why do the monkeys run for their lives every evening? It's a question that literally stops skeptics in their tracks. Animals have that heightened sixth sense, right? And a daily panicked animal exodus is something science really struggles to fully dismiss. So, the mystery remains totally unsolved. This clash between logic and deep, unwavering faith is exactly what makes Nidhivan one of the most fascinating spots on the planet. Whether you think it's a profound psychological tradition, some strange geopathic phenomena, or the literal divine dance of Lord Krishna himself, the forest commands absolute respect. I'll leave you with this to ponder. What do you think truly happens when the sun sets, the last bird flies away, and those heavy iron gates slam shut? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the incredible world around us.